Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Weekly International Roundup. This is our second episode. Let's get started. Finland has announced their new manager. Jacob Friis joins from FC Augsburg, where he was the assistant coach. He's Danish. He's managed a few teams in Denmark, namely Viborg and Aalborg. He's also managed the under-19 women's national team for Denmark. This is new territory for Coach Friis. He has never managed a national team before, so it'll be very interesting to see how he gets on with the Hukiyat. Bangladesh has announced that they will hold a 4-week training camp in Saudi Arabia ahead of their Asian Cup qualifiers in March against India. Hamza Chowdhury is expected to get the call-up for Bangladesh in March. This is a long-awaited call-up. Everybody's very excited to see how he gets on with the Bangladesh national team. Their manager, Javier Cabrera, has expressed a lot of excitement about this upcoming camp, and he's definitely using it as an opportunity to prep his team for that crucial match to start things off against India. Moving on to the Caribbean, Bonaire recently had a national team player move to Poland. He becomes the first national team player to play in that country. We're talking about Gio Felicia, who decided that he was going to accept a move to Pogoń Sokół Lubuszow. I have no idea if I said that right, but we're going to go with it. The club plays in the Polish 4th tier, and again, he becomes the first ever player from Bonaire to play in Poland. Congratulations, Gio. The South Asian Football Federation has announced a new format for their championship, which is slated to take place this summer. They've actually decided that they're going to adopt a very similar format to what the Asian Championship was earlier this year, with a home and away style, where the main goal is to see higher attendances. I think this is a good format change for the championship. I'm really interested to see how it pans out. The South Asian Football Federation includes Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Obviously, that's an odd amount of nations, so there's going to be a guest nation that comes in for this tournament. We don't know who that is yet. We're waiting to find that out. The new format changes were approved after being proposed earlier this month. We'll have to see if it delivers on the expectation. Abdikoder Kusanov becomes the first ever player to play in the English Premier League after signing with Manchester City this week in a huge move. He leaves Lens in France and will represent not only himself but his country as they take a monumental step forward by finally having a player who's playing in the Premier League. Greenland is set to meet with CONCACAF officials next month in February to discuss membership, as well as to use that as an opportunity to try and schedule matches with other Confederation opponents in CONCACAF. There's a lot of excitement around the potential opportunity that CONCACAF has to include Greenland as a new member. I think a lot of people would be super happy to see that happen, including ourselves. CONCACAF is filled with other nations that are not members of FIFA, but are members of the Confederation. Greenland would be another solid addition. There are significant rumors that Mason Greenwood has completed his switch to play for Jamaica. He obviously still wants to play at an international level. Jamaica is his hope. It sounds like everything has gone into place. There was an article that was released by The Mirror, a tabloid in the UK, that stated that he has completed everything that he needed to do in order to receive the call-up, and that his first call-up will come in the June window. Now back to Uzbekistan. Sreko Kantanic steps away as the national team manager due to health issues. There's actually a training camp that's going on in Qatar right now. Players arrived on Tuesday, very similar to what Bangladesh is trying to do in preparation for their World Cup qualifiers in March. They're so close to reaching the big stage for the first time ever, and we all really hope that they do end up making it. Timur Kapadze, the former under-23 and Olympic team manager, as well as manager of club in Uzbekistan called Olympic Tashkent, has been hired to be the new manager for Uzbekistan. This is a logical choice. He knows a lot of the crop of players that's coming through now. He's a really good man manager. I think it's a logical decision, and I think it's one that is going to be beneficial for Uzbekistan. Tiquani Williams, a St. Kitts and Nevis national team player, becomes the first St. Kitts and Nevis player to ever sign for a club in Eastern Europe after signing with KF Trepčka in Kosovo on a 2.5-year deal. Very exciting step forward for the player, also for the national team, and we wish him a lot of success. It appears that there's going to be a massive Saudi exodus of players to Europe. Hassan Al-Tambakti is now close to joining Deportivo Alaves. Dunkirk apparently has agreed a deal to sign Mohanad Al-Saad from Neom. This comes off the back of a huge effort from the Saudi Federation to increase the amount of players in Europe ahead of them hosting the World Cup in 2034. Obviously, the idea being that if they want to win the World Cup, they need to have players who are playing with the best. This is an effort to try to get that to happen. Both Malaysia and Indonesia launched new kits this week. Puma is now the technical kit provider for Malaysia, while Indonesia launched new kits with their new provider. What do you think about these new kits? Leave us a comment below. FIFA and the AFC were in Pakistan this week to try to help usher in a new presidential election for Pakistan. Unfortunately, the situation is stuck in the mud where, from our understanding, there is a national committee that is representative of all the different associations of football within Pakistan. The majority of the Pakistani Football Federation Congress members rejected the constitutional amendments that were proposed by FIFA and the AFC. These constitutional amendments were related to the election process of the president and other positions within the PFF. The funny thing is, the same stakeholders that were opposed to the 2014 constitution changes and said Faisal Saleh Hayat conducted the elections without FIFA formally approving those changes now want to keep them. FIFA has been demanding changes from the Pakistani Football Federation since September 2015 in order to allow them to hold fresh elections. Really strange scenario. Everybody's like done a 180 all of a sudden, and now process is just going to be stuck because FIFA and AFC are on this tear where they believe that it's unfair and shouldn't be allowed, and the Pakistani Football Federation and its representatives, the Congress, now apparently wants to keep things, which is very surprising. As mentioned by footballpakistan.com, which is a great follow if you're not already following them, all these people need to find a way forward to prevent further delay to the elections, or they end up risking a ban. But you can't go from shouting a decade that these clauses are illegal and FIFA didn't approve to now demand elections under those same clauses. Strange situation. Pakistan football is just really stuck in the mud. This is a situation that we're going to continue to keep our eyes on and continue to inform you about. And now to Tunisia, where today they held elections for their new federation president. The elected new president is Moaz Nasri. He will decide what ends up happening with their coaching situation. Tunisia went through 4 coaches in 2024, which is absolutely ridiculous. And they still don't have an active coach today. With World Cup qualifying right around the corner and AFCON later this year, there definitely needs to be somebody put in place. Nasri now has a really big decision that he has to make. There were discussions earlier this month with Carlos Queiroz. What we've heard is that his demanded salary of 1.5 million euros a year was too expensive for the federation. So now there are really 2 options. You bring in an interim manager that's going to see them through World Cup qualifying in March, and as well as 2 unknown friendlies in June, and then look to get somebody when there's a little bit of a break between the June and September windows. Or you bring in somebody in February, probably somebody who's maybe more local, more familiar with the local league, versus somebody who's a higher profile like Queiroz. Finally, for this week, Rudy Garcia has been appointed as the new Belgium manager. This kind of comes a bit out of the blue. He definitely was not on our short list that we mentioned last week. This will be his first foray into managing international football. So how do you think he's going to do? Leave us a comment below and let us know what you think. That's all we have time for. We'll see you next week.